We're back for week 7, set 2, SWYK 2. I know, too much excitement for a math teacher this late at night. Anyway, so we are given a story problem. I know, your favorite. And in the story problem, they want to know an arrow is fired into the air with an initial velocity of 96 feet per second. The height of the arrow with your shot is given by this function. Okay, so basically what's going on, we've launched an object. Now, what's not really accurate is this object got launched from the ground. That nobody does that. We launch it from 3, 4, 5 feet off the ground. But in this case, this thing went up and then came back down. Now, what I'm graphing here are times and heights. I'm not actually graphing the position, the horizontal and the vertical position. That is a whole different animal, although it is parabolic. But because, it does follow the path of a parabola. Anyway, so when they ask me to find the maximum height of the arrow, is that a time or a distance? Well, obviously it's a distance. Well, if we do our little opposite of b over 2a thing, you've got an a value of -16 and a b value of 96. By the way, your c value is 0 here. That's why you don't see anything there. So if we go with opposite of b over 2a, we end up with +3. So it takes 3 seconds to get to the top. Now, how high is it when it gets there? Well, that's when we plug in the 3 in for both of the t's, just like we would do for finding a vertex, and we find out that -144 plus 288 is 144 feet. Question 2. In this particular question, we have, and they're actually launching something from the top of a 112-foot tall building. So they're all the way at the top of this building, and they launched it off the top, okay? And then it's going to come down to the ground. After how many seconds does the ball reach its maximum height? In the future, we'll be looking at this in terms of hitting the ground. But for now, we're just asking when it reaches its maximum height. And it did say when, right? It did not say how high. It just said when. So when would be the t, the time. And if I do my opposite of b over 2a, right here, I get 2 seconds. So it took 2 seconds to reach the max. Okay, I've got 4 examples that we will only be able to go through one, and then I'm probably going to have to create a separate optional video for you to watch, which would be smart of you to watch at least a little bit of to kind of get the hang of it. And if you need to, watch the whole thing. Anyway, so we want to come up with, in question 3 here, we want to come up with A, B, and C so that we actually know what the numbers are. We want an equation of a parabola. Sorry for yawning. Been a long day. So, in the end of this question, we come out and find out that they're -2, 9, and 7. Okay, so how do we do this? All right, so we've been given 3 coordinates. We are going to make 3 equations. So let's start off with 0, 7. And you're going to notice that I went up here and I plugged in 0 for x and 7 for y. Well, what is a times 0 squared? Well, of course, that's gone. That's nothing. And b times 0, well, that's gone as well. So the only thing left is c equals 7. That's how we know this value right here. Now, that's not normally going to happen. In fact, when you go into the next video, the optional part, you'll see that the questions are a little bit more challenging, but it's all elimination, so it's not going to be that bad. But in this particular question, since we know that the c is 7, when you go to make the next 2 equations, notice how I put the c value as 7 instead of the letter c. Okay? And that can only happen if that first one is 0, something. Well, now I take that 217, right? And I'm going to plug it in. 17 for the y, 2 for the x. And what you see here is 4 a's, 2 b's. And then if I take that 7 and push it to the other side, I get 10. So that's where this equation came from. All right, let's do another one here. 316, right? So 16 goes for the y, 3 goes for the a, 3 goes for the x, and so we end up with 9a plus 3b, and oh look, the 7 goes to the other side and creates, and we get a value of 9. Okay, now we are only doing elimination here. So I chose to get rid of the b's. That's what I thought would be a smart idea. So I multiplied the top one by 3 and the bottom one by -2, which gave me these green ones here. And then I was able to add them together. When I added them together, I found out that 12 equals -6a, and so I got all the way down to a equals -2. So now we got c equals 7 and a equals -2. So how do I find the b value? Well, I went back to one of my equations that had just a's and b's in it. In fact, I went right back to this one right here that I'm highlighting in the black. And I plugged in my a value of -2, and I added 18 to both sides that are divided by 3. And I got the b value of +9. I know you're going to hurt me because you're like, why is this guy yawning so much? Anyway, when you look at the strategy of setting up these equations, and I know this is going to get into the second video, I want you to notice something. When I did this for question 4, instead of writing 3 squared, I just went ahead and made it 9. Instead of making it -5 squared times a, I just went ahead and made it 25a. Same thing with the -4 when I plugged it in. It's just 16 a's, right? Because -4 times -4 is +16. I just did that automatically to speed things up. Okay, see you in the next yawning video.